"That's not how you reverse. What are you doing?" But I was already pushing the gear stick forward. The crowd still blocked the road, so I swerved onto the curb. The people on the side continued banging the doors, and another bullet went through the window, but I floored the accelerator and drove along the pavement. I hit a bin before swerving back onto the road, and when I looked back, the people were still running. My examiner was back to her old ways, screaming, "You're endangering civilians," and writing in her clipboard so hard her pencil snapped. When the exam ended, she wouldn't even give me my sheet. We ended up in an unlucky situation, but road safety means navigating danger safety. You failed. She stormed off, and all I could look at was the bullet hole in the headrest she was sitting at. The bell rung, and my brother threw the punch at his opponent, knocking him down and winning the fight. But as he was about to take the championship belt, he felt a knife dig into his ribs. His opponent's friends were so mad my brother won, they jumped into the cage and started stabbing him repeatedly. I tried to help, but I wasn't quick enough, and my brother bled out on the mat in front of me. The attackers grabbed the belt and sprinted out the side exit before security could catch them. Police issued warrants for their arrest, but 6 months passed, and authorities couldn't find them. I was told they likely fled the country. Yet despite this, the MMA organization published an article, issuing them a $500 fine for stealing the championship belt. The attackers actually wired the money, but still never returned the belt. I was pulled into the principal's office during a school lockdown, and my parents were in the office waiting for me. My heart skipped a beat because I had no idea what was going on. My mom was sitting there with tears in her eyes. My dad had his arms crossed. I heard the lockdown alarm on the speaker. "Why am I here during a lockdown? Isn't this dangerous?" Nobody answered. The principal sat down. "We need to go through your backpack." "My backpack? Why?" "Place it on the desk and take everything out." Slowly. Did they think I did something? I started pulling things out. Then my hand touched something I forgot was in there. A naughty balloon my friend gave me as a joke. I pulled it out. My mom gasped. My face burned with embarrassment. The principal said, "Keep going." Then I pulled out my vape. My dad yelled, "You do nicotine?" But that wasn't the worst part. I pulled out my real report card. All Fs. The one I hid from my parents. I wanted to die. "Why are you making me do this? Did you call a lockdown because of my vape?" The principal ignored me and asked, "Who did you sit next to at lunch today?" That caught me off guard. I said, "Hector." "Why is that relevant?" The principal continued, "Did anyone touch your bag? Hold it for you." "No." "What is this about?" He ignored me. Then 2 cops walked into the office. My legs went weak. I was so confused. What is happening? The principal reached into the bottom of my bag himself. He pulled out something wrapped in a shirt I'd never seen before. He unwrapped it slowly, and there was a small device with wires and a timer, ticking. I jumped back. "That's not mine. I swear I've never seen that." I was 18, so if I ended up getting arrested, I would go to jail and serve some real time. My mom screamed. My dad grabbed me and pulled me back. The principal looked at me calmly. "We know it's not yours." "What?" The principal explained. "Security cameras caught Hector slipping it into your bag at lunch. That's why you're in here. We needed to take the device out of your bag before something bad happened." I felt my whole body go numb. I looked out the window. Hector was being escorted out in handcuffs by cops. Then a cop pointed at the desk. The timer on the device was still counting down. 3, 2, 1. I flinched, thinking this was it for me, but then nothing happened. I opened my eyes. The cop said, "I've seen that toy at Target. It's fake." I realized Hector pulled the biggest prank in our school's history. Then my mom looked at me. "Now why do you have naughty balloons in your bag?" My new dog ran into Dad's leg while chasing his ball, and my face instantly dropped in horror. Dad's eyes teared up and he sneezed for the 10th time, then pointed at Lucky. "That dog's going back to the pound." He picked Lucky up while he whimpered, but I instantly snatched him from Dad's arms and locked myself into the bathroom. Dad pounded the door. "Come out right now or you're grounded." But I yelled back, "I'm only coming out when you let Lucky stay." He replied, "Not happening. I'm allergic." So I put a surgical mask around Lucky's face and sent him a picture. "Now he can't lick you, Dad." I felt like a genius, but Dad yelled, "That's not how it works," and slid a paper under the door. I picked it up and my heart dropped. My birthday parties and Christmas presents for the next 8 years, or Lucky staying. I could only have one. I teared up, but when Lucky brushed up against my leg like I was his only friend, I circled Lucky and slid the paper back. Silence. Then suddenly, bang. Dad threw his shoulder into the door. "I'm coming in." My legs shook, and I knew we were screwed as the only way out was a tiny window I was too small to fit through. Dad continued hitting the door, and I cried out, "Please, Dad. Lucky's my only friend." He said, "Then this will be a lesson to make friends like normal kids." The door splintered as he hit it again, and my heart broke when Lucky started cowering behind me. The door slammed again and eventually broke open. Dad stormed in, panting and red in the face. "Where's that damn dog?" Spit flew from his mouth and he looked around at the empty bathroom. I pointed at the open window. "Lucky got so scared of you he ran away." My voice shook. Dad smirked and crossed his arms. "Well, at least he's gone." He walked out. I wiped my tears, then peered behind the broken door to make sure he was gone. That's when I lifted the toilet tank and pulled Lucky out. He was soaking wet and wagging his tail in my arms. We ran into my room where I locked the door and took out his favorite toy. At 2 in the morning, my phone rang and my daughter's voice came came through, tiny and terrified. "Daddy, Mommy's gone and I'm hungry and I don't know what to do." I'd moved 6 hours away after things fell apart with her mom, but I was already grabbing my keys. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" The line went dead before she could answer. I called back and it went straight to voicemail, so I tried my ex, but she didn't pick up. I'd been sending money for my girl every month, and my mom, who lived 10 minutes from her, always swore she was thriving. I tried her next and got the same silence. I thought about calling the police, but a year of those promises had me sure I'd just find her scared and alone. So I did 90 on the highway for 6 hours, telling myself my own mother would never lie to me about my own kid. I burst through my ex's unlocked front door, and the smell hit me first. Then I found my daughter in a storage closet on a bare mattress, covered in filth, her face so thin I could see her skull. "You came," she whispered. I picked her up and she weighed nothing. I cleaned her up with my shirt and bottled water from my truck because the tub was full of black mold. Then I drove straight to the hospital with her limp in my arms. The doctor hooked her up to IVs and came out looking grim. "Your daughter is severely malnourished. We have to call the authorities." A cop showed up, and when my ex walked in hours later with a lawyer, she was already screaming. "He abandoned us and paid me to keep her away. I have bank records, thousands of dollars, and now he breaks in and tries to steal her?" The cop's face hardened toward me, and I had no way to explain the money fast enough. That's when my mom rushed through the door, already crying. She'd finally answered my calls, and she couldn't carry the lie one more day. She stepped in front of the cop. "I'm sorry, but I watched that little girl starve. Her mom spent every dollar he sent partying, and she paid me to keep telling him everything was fine. I won't let her put this on him." The cop turned to her. "You witnessed the neglect? I'll testify to all of it." My ex started screaming, but the cop was already reaching for his cuffs. I got full custody and never spoke to my mom again. I was teaching The Great Gatsby to my third period when the door slammed open and 6 men with rifles came pouring into my classroom. "Hands! Show me your hands! On the ground, now!" I dropped my marker and threw my hands up. Okay, my students. I have students in here." The officer had his rifle locked on my chest and kept shouting over me. "On your knees! Down! Now!" I went down slowly while I kept trying to talk to him. "Please, just tell me what this is. I have 28 kids in this room." He wouldn't say anything back and the rifle stayed pointed at my face, and that's when I looked at my students and saw not a single one of them had moved. I had to make this man listen before one of them flinched. I turned my head back up to the officer and tried again. "Sir, who called you? What did they tell you?" He stepped closer with the rifle still up. "Report came in. You were armed and threatening your students. Stay down. Shut up." I knew exactly who called. It's my ex-wife. She lost custody of our son last week, and she's been texting me threats ever since. My phone is in my pocket. Just look at the messages. He didn't lower the rifle, but he glanced at the kid in the front row who was still frozen with her highlighter pressed to the page. Then a kid in the back row named Trevor, who hadn't said 3 words all year, slowly raised his hand. The officer's eyes snapped to Trevor, but the rifle didn't move. He kept it locked on me. Trevor's hand stayed up, and when he finally got the words out, his voice was shaking. "Sir, Mr. Davis didn't do anything. We were just reading. I swear. Please ask any of us." The officer held the rifle on me for one more second before he slowly lowered it and swept his eyes across the room. 28 kids sat at their desks with their Gatsby copies open in front of them. He keyed his radio and his voice dropped quiet. "Stand down. We're clear in here. It's nothing." He looked back down at me and reached into my pocket. He pulled out my phone. I unlocked it with my face still pressed to the floor. He scrolled through the texts, stopped on one, then another, then 10 more. Every single message came from the same number under the same name. He handed the phone to the officer behind him. "Go pick her up tonight." He held a hand out and pulled me up off the floor. He couldn't meet my eyes. "Sir, I'm sorry. We should have asked questions first." They raided her apartment that night. She was in cuffs by midnight. She'd told me once I'd never see the inside of a classroom again. I taught third period the next morning while she sat in a cell waiting on 5 years. Kathy pulled out her phone and moved her fingers rapidly across her screen. "I'm hosting a party here tonight." I looked over at our grandmother holding her walking cane and staring blankly at a wall. "No, you're not. Grandma is 92. We're supposed to be taking care of her." Kathy crossed her arms. "Grandma's also blind and deaf. She won't notice a thing." I waved my finger no, but when I looked at her phone, over 30 party invites were already sent out. I tried to grab it and unsend every invite, but she'd already posted it to her story for all her friends